I used to believe trust was the foundation of everything. Every Friday, I'd show up at Victor's office, his favorite lunch in hand, a little note folded on top, just to make him smile. I knew the receptionist's dog's name, which in turn drank 3 coffees before noon, and yes, I knew Vanessa, his secretary. Always too polished, too eager, and always there. But I never questioned anything. I wasn't that kind of woman. Victor made me feel safe. That kind of safe that makes you stop checking for danger. Until one afternoon I opened our shared tablet, just looking for an old vacation photo. What I found instead? Messages, pictures, late-night snapshots of him and Vanessa, smiling like teenagers with no conscience. She called him V. He told her I'd never find out. He was wrong. I didn't scream. I didn't throw the tablet across the room or call him a monster. I just sat there, staring at the screen like it was a stranger's life. My heart didn't shatter. It went quiet, like the stillness before a storm. When Victor came home that night, humming like nothing had happened, I looked him in the eye and simply asked, "How long?" He blinked, confused at first. Then he knew. "It just happened," he mumbled, rubbing his neck like the words were heavy. "I didn't mean to hurt you." As if betrayal could ever be accidental. As if love just slips and falls into someone else's bed. I didn't cry in front of him. I didn't give him the satisfaction. Instead, I packed a small bag and walked out. Not just from our apartment, but from that whole chapter of my life. I didn't tell anyone what happened. Not his coworkers, not his friends, not even Vanessa. Let them think I vanished. Let them guess. I wasn't gone. I was planning. People talk about heartbreak like it's loud, like sobbing in the shower or screaming into pillows. But mine was quiet. It was the silence in my car after I left, gripping the steering wheel like it was the only thing holding me together. It was skipping the calls from friends who meant well, but would ask questions I wasn't ready to answer. I didn't want comfort. I wanted clarity. And revenge, though I didn't know it yet, was already blooming beneath the surface. I moved in with my sister for a while, took time off, drank my coffee slowly. Sat with the pain until it stopped feeling like pain and started feeling like fuel. Victor had taken something from me, but he'd also left me with something far more useful. A reason. I watched him from a distance. His promotions, his happy little office parties, his hollow success. He thought I was out of the picture. He had no idea I'd just stepped behind the curtain. Because here's the thing about silence. It's not weakness. It's strategy. I never stopped working. People assumed I was healing, maybe licking my wounds. But in truth, I was building. I had my own career, investments, a few quiet partnerships, years of financial discipline that Victor never really paid attention to. He thought I was just the supportive girlfriend, and maybe I was. But I was also an architect of my own future, one he never imagined I could design without him. A few months after I left, I got word that his company was looking for new capital. It was casual gossip at first, mentioned over cocktails during a client dinner, but I leaned in, took notes. The more I heard, the clearer it became. This wasn't just an opportunity. It was a door, and I held the key. He had his affair. Now I had my angle. I didn't act impulsively. I played it cool, like a chess game I'd been preparing for years. Through a few trusted intermediaries, I started moving capital, slow, strategic, invisible. I tapped into old contacts from business school, leveraged quiet partnerships, even pulled from a small inheritance I'd never touched. Every dollar was intentional. Every meeting, discreet. No one in Victor's world had any idea I was circling. And when the paperwork cleared, I smiled. Because I wasn't just an investor, I was the investor, majority shareholder. The woman who once brought lunch to that office now owned it. Funny how tables don't just turn, they flip. And I wasn't finished. I stayed silent a little longer, just to let it all settle. Let them keep celebrating Victor's small wins under the illusion of control. Let Vanessa keep smiling at her desk like she'd conquered something. Meanwhile, the boardroom had a new queen, and no one saw her coming. I'd read every quarterly report, studied the internal structure, mapped out who was loyal to whom. Knowledge is leverage, and I had more than enough. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about precision. He made me feel small. I made myself powerful. And now, I was ready to step back into that building, not as a woman scorned, but as the one signing the checks. The calm before the storm had passed. Now, it was time to let the thunder roll. The heels hit the marble floor like a countdown. One step, then another. Every inch of me was deliberate. Tailored suit, chin high, eyes forward. I hadn't been in that building since the day I walked away with my heart in pieces. But now I walked in with equity, power, and a calm that could slice glass. The receptionist did a double take. An intern dropped her pen. Even the elevator seemed to pause for me. I didn't look for him. I didn't need to. The whispering started almost immediately. Is that... Oh my God, that's her. Let them talk. I was done being the story they pitied. I was the one writing it now. The boardroom was already filling up when I arrived. Department heads, executives, people in suits who didn't know I used to sit in the lobby, waiting for Victor with warm coffee and blind faith. Vanessa was there too, flipping her hair, pretending to care about the agenda. Victor sat near the front, relaxed, confident, oblivious. That was about to change. I took my seat, third chair from the CEO, and waited. Then came the moment. The CEO stood. Before we begin, I'd like to introduce our newest majority partner, Ms. Camila Silva. Silence. Then gasps. Victor's jaw tightened. Vanessa's eyes went wide. I smiled. Not too much, just enough. I'm thrilled to be here, I said. We've got exciting changes ahead. I didn't look at him directly. I didn't need to. The tension in his shoulders, the twitch in his jaw, those were enough. Vanessa sat frozen, trying to piece together what just happened. And me? I was composed, in control, and already thinking 3 moves ahead. I leaned back in my chair as the meeting continued, offering thoughts here and there, enough to make it clear. I wasn't just a figurehead. I was the storm they hadn't seen coming. When the floor opened for questions, no one spoke. Not even Victor. Especially not Victor. I turned to the CEO and said calmly, I think we'll start by reviewing some leadership structures. And I caught the slightest tremble from across the room. It was time. Time to clean house, with grace. I called them in separately, then changed my mind. Let them squirm together. The boardroom was quiet when they walked in. Victor went stiff the moment he saw me at the head of the table. Vanessa's heels hesitated mid-step. I gestured to the chairs across from me. No smiles, no small talk. Just business. The kind of business that changes lives, and not in the way they'd hoped. Victor tried to open with a chuckle. Camila, this is unexpected. I didn't blink. Take a seat. He did. Slowly. Vanessa kept glancing at him like he could save her. He couldn't even save himself. This wasn't a conversation. This was closure. Served cold, sharp, and corporate. I kept my voice calm. No raised tones, no dramatics. Just facts, cutting and final. I looked at Victor first. You broke the rules of loyalty in our relationship, and now you've broken the rules of ethics in this company. He opened his mouth, but I lifted a hand. Don't. This isn't a discussion. Then I turned to Vanessa. Sleeping with your superior? That's not just reckless. It's a violation. And frankly, it's tired. Vanessa flushed deep red. She looked down at her lap, suddenly so small in that too tight blazer. Victor leaned forward like he might protest. So I slid 2 envelopes across the table. Termination letters, dated, final. Effective immediately, I said, and leaned back. It was over. For them. For a moment, no one moved. Just the soft hum of the AC and the weight of reality sinking in. Victor stared at the envelope like it might catch fire. Vanessa blinked rapidly, as if that could rewind time. But me? I felt steady, strong, like I had finally picked up the last broken piece of myself and set it down for good. I didn't gloat, I didn't smile. I simply stood. I wish you both the best, I said, already reaching for my planner. It wasn't kindness. It was closure. Victor's voice cracked when he finally asked, "Is this really how you want it to end?" I met his eyes. No, Victor. This is how you ended it. And with that, I walked out. Not hurt, not angry, just done. The office felt different now. Lighter, maybe. Or maybe that was just me, walking through it without the weight of betrayal clinging to my heels. People smiled when they saw me, not out of obligation, but with a kind of quiet respect. They'd heard whispers. They'd seen enough to put the pieces together. And while no one said it out loud, I could feel it in the way they looked at me, like someone who had been burned and came back fireproof. I wasn't there to prove anything. I didn't need to. Victor and Vanessa were gone, names removed, doors cleared. The silence they left behind didn't bother me. It made room for something better. I spent my days rebuilding, not just the company, but the culture. I promoted talent that had gone unnoticed. I encouraged voices that had been talked over. I listened more than I spoke, and when I did speak, people listened. Because I'd been through the fire and chose not to become bitter, but better. My leadership wasn't loud. It was steady, deliberate, rooted in knowing exactly who I was and what I'd survived. The board respected me. The staff trusted me. And quietly, they admired the way I'd handled it all, with grace sharpened like a blade. Victor and Vanessa? They disappeared from the industry. Reputation has a way of following you, especially when the truth echoes louder than gossip. And mine echoed in every polished corner of that office. I stood by the window on the top floor one morning, coffee in hand, the city stretching wide beneath me. The same skyline I used to dream under. Only now, I owned a piece of it. A junior exec knocked lightly, asking if I wanted to clear my afternoon schedule. I took a sip, eyes never leaving the horizon. "No," I said calmly. "I have a company to run." And I already took out the trash. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about reclaiming what I'd handed away too easily. My power, my worth, my voice. He gave the secretary everything. I gave them both nothing. And I kept the company, all of it,